Hello, this is Rusty, and welcome once again to a Dad's Desk video. Throughout this series, you have probably been thinking to yourself, when is he going to write the code for this combo box and the lookup button? It's been there from the very beginning, but he's gone and added some other options in here. Well, let's get started on this right now. You will notice between the last video for the delete OLEDB and this one, I've moved things around on the form because I needed to create a little space right here for some for a data grid that we're going to be using. So let's add that one into our form right now. We'll go over to our toolbox, and under data, we'll select data grid view. I'm not going to change any of these settings right here. Just deselect that and then come down here and drag that down, and then I'm going to resize it because that's really not the size that I want, and that probably is too big, but let's bring it down about like that. That ought to work for me. We'll give it a name with a prefix of DGV for data grid view, and we'll call it customers. Okay, and I will set the visible property of this one to false because I do not want it to display right off the bat. Now we need to go back to the combo box right here and write the code for assigning some variables and some settings on that and how we will do everything. In the real world, I would also take time to code and get more control over the form, but for right now we'll just work with the basics. Okay, so double click on that one and we'll say something in here like determines which field to enable, because I want them, when they do the lookup and they select an option, I want them to pick a single field that I'm going to let them type things into. So we'll start out here with a little with me, and right off the bat, my message, in case I had a message earlier where they messed something up, on this one I'm going to say LBO message.visible equals false. Okay, and then I'm going to create a series of if and else if statements. So we'll come in, and I'll just make an extra blank line here. We'll say if dot CBO lookup fields dot selected index, if it is equal to 0, that's going to be the customer number then that they have selected from the list. If that's the case, then I will say dot txt cusno dot read only equals false, and I'll put my cursor up there also. Dot focus, open close parentheses, dot txt fname dot read only equals true, just to make sure in case they've selected one field and then they maybe I got the wrong field that I want, and they reselect. Dot txt lname, so it resets the form for us, equals true. Okay, and then we'll say else if dot cbo lookup fields dot selected index equals 1. That's going to be the first name. Let's scroll this up so we can see things a little bit better there. Then we'll say that dot txt, still like to keep things in order, dot read only equals true, and then dot txt fname dot read only equals false, dot txt fname dot focus, and dot txt lname dot read only equals false. There we go. And then an else if dot cbo lookup fields dot selected index equals 2. Now if I change any of that, this is maybe not the best way. I could work with actual text on the text property, but for this time I'm going to use the selected index just to show you. Dot txt cusno dot read only equals true, and let's see here, we want to change, let's change that one back, not true. We want to change this one to true. I just happen to notice that it's going to be read only because they're only typing in on fname right there. And then we'll say dot txt fname dot read only equals true, dot txt lname dot read only equals false, and dot txt lname dot focus. And then just to have it in there, else, we'll just say do nothing. I just like to have that in there every once in a while. Now, after the end if statement, but before the end with statement, I'll say dot txt Okay, had to pause for a moment there because of my crazy dog in the background. Maybe you heard her barking. But anyway, we'll go in now and I will say, just to reset the screen for the display so they're not looking at actual data at this point, we'll say .txt cusno.text equals double quotes, .txt fname.text equals double quotes, and .txt come back here, lname.text equals double quotes. There we go. Very, very good. And that's everything that we really need at this point on that. So let's go back to our form and let's start working on that lookup button right there. And we'll say searches for matching records. Okay, because we're going to use some wildcard characters, if you will, on this, because they may not know the person's entire last name or how to spell it. Likewise, there are several conditions that we will want to take into consideration here. Okay, so let's get started with me, and then we'll say .lbomessage.visible equals false, just to kind of reset things. And we're finally going to use that Boolean data error variable that we created here. So I'm going to say Boolean, or BLN, data error equals true. Okay, so that there is a problem. We set it to false initially in our global declarations. Now I want to say, okay, if txt cusno is the read-only is false and it is not equal to nothing. So here we're going to say if .txt cusno.read-only equals false, and we want to convert this to a string because it's all numeric. So here I'm going to say cstr convert to string parentheses whatever is in .txt cusno.text close parentheses, if that is not equal to a null character, or two double quotes there. So that means there is data in there. I will now apply my SQL statement. So I'll say str data source equals double quotes select all the fields from my customer table where the cusno is like. Now I want the like statement here because I may not type in all of the data. They may not know the entire customer number, or as you will see in a minute, the last name or first name. So we'll do a like statement, and then we will say single quote, double quote, spacebar, ampersand spacebar, .txt cusno dot text, spacebar, ampersand spacebar, double quote, single quote, double quote, and then we'll say Boolean, BLN, data error equals false. That no, there is not a data error. Okay, then another else if statement. Else if .txt fname. Oops, come back here. Fname dot text, or dot read only, I should say. Read only equals false, and .txt, getting ahead of myself, fname dot text is not equal to double quotes. Okay, then, and I'm going to take this statement and we'll kind of, well, I think I'll type it in. str data source equals double quotes select all of the fields from customer where, and in this case it's going to be where fname is like, and I'm going to use the wildcard characters because they may say, well, their names, it contained these letters, but I don't remember what it started with. So we want to search the database for all the first name fields containing these characters, or in some case, this character might be a single character. So then I'll do a single quote, %, double quote, spacebar, ampersand, spacebar, dot txt fname dot text, spacebar, ampersand, spacebar, double quote, %. Okay, that takes care of everything after what they type in. Single quote, double quote. All right, very, very good. And we again will say BLN data error equals false. Okay, now for this one, we can kind of copy paste if we wanted to, just in the interest of time, make the changes to lname. So I'll highlight those 3 lines, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'll change this to lname and lname, selection where lname is like whatever is in L name. Very, very good. Okay, now after we do all that, we'll come in and we'll say else. No, not that way we won't, will we? Else. Okay, else. So none of these conditions were met, so we know we have a problem with our search data at this particular moment. So we'll come in and we'll say .lbo message .text equals double quotes, please enter search data .lbo message .text or .visible equals true, and BLN data error equals true. So we know that there was some problems there. Now after the if statement, but before the end if statement, this is where we will use BLN data error. We'll say if BLN data error equals false, then .dgv oops, not that way, data grid view customers columns clear, open closed parentheses, okay, and dimension. So that just clears the columns out from a previous search. DT as new data table, dimension data adapter equals a new OLEDB OLEDB data adapter parentheses str data source comma conn str1 close parentheses, and then data adapter dot fill parentheses dt data adapter dot dispose open close parentheses, and then we will go in here now and we will say dot data grid view customers dot data source equals dt, and dot data grid view customers dot visible now equals true. Very, very good. All right, let's try this. Getting a little long on the video there time-wise, but that's okay. We'll click on this. If I click on lookup, right there, please enter search data. Oh, excuse me. Let's go in and find all the people with the last name. So it enabled that one. Their last name beginning with or containing a B. Click on lookup, and there they are. The Sandy Beach, Billboard, Bridges, Burbago, and you'll notice here, because I used the wildcard character, it found B, the lowercase b, on that one. Okay, and then there's Hamilton Burger, made that search right there. So that's how, very simply, we can use the lookup button to search our database. Okay, as always though, thanks for watching.